Hi guys, this video is chapter 3 of my story of having liver disease and growing up with liver disease and managing my condition. And just going to recap from chapter 2 where I've just had my 4th transplant and come out of that, and then getting back education wise, doing my GCSEs so I can go to college. And we'll start from there really. So so between transplants 4 and 5, there was 3 years where got my GCSEs done, which was difficult. A lot of people are going on about how these kids with COVID-19 are going to be scarred for life because their lack of education during this time. Well, I spent a whole year. I didn't get half a day year 11. The only year 11 I got was once a week with a tutor. Right, and I took my exams the same time as my sister. My sister's 3 years younger than me, 3.5 years younger than me. So I don't really buy into the fact that I just feel that saying that is that you're giving them an excuse that they need. You're giving the excuse to people who don't want to put the effort in. If you put your mind to it, you can achieve anything. Anything. Right? Despite what illness you have. Right? I'm not well at the minute, but I'm still doing this as much as I can to raise awareness. But yeah, so I got my GCSEs done, got to college, doing level 3 business, where I got top grades, triple distinction stars. Was looking forward to uni, but was told halfway through the second year of college that I'm going to need an op to divert the blood flow to the spleen because the vein between the liver and the spleen had blocked, and it was causing untold pressure on the spleen, making it enlarged. So rather than try and see if it settled itself, we would go ahead with surgery, get it sorted, and it would be a month recovery in hospital, further month in during the summer to recover, and then be fit enough to go to uni in September. Now the actual opera was fine and everything went well, but then overnight the liver died because the hepatic artery had collapsed, and I knew nothing about this because I was out for the count. The only thing that was different is that you could tell you were asleep a lot longer than you were supposed to be. And when I woke up and was finally awake, because it took a struggle to wake us up, the prof who done the op, who's done all my ops, come and said that the hepatic artery had blocked overnight after the surgery, and we had to do an emergency transplant. Where if someone wasn't having a transplant at the time and I didn't have half of them, of that liver, of that donor, I could have been in serious trouble and may not have been here now. But the thing is that what I love about my surgeon, why I get so well with him, is the fact he comes straight out, and though it wasn't his fault, it's no one's fault, it's just one of those things. He comes up and apologises, and I can accept that from any doctor. I'd have more respect for him as a doctor than that, and then just hiding away and making excuses. But during that time, there was also a perforation in the stomach which took 3 weeks of working out. And the reason it took 3 weeks of working out is because though we were telling them 3 weeks beforehand that there was a problem, um, uh, they wouldn't listen, especially because the fact that the surgeon was away abroad, though he told his team if there's any problems, sort it out. And it's not until he got back that they actually discovered the problem and sorted it out. Which drove me up the wall because we had told them 3 weeks beforehand, and they didn't. And unlike Prof Eaton, the surgical team, they just come in the room and they don't even apologise. They don't even make excuses. They just don't apologise or anything. The only comment they came out with was to my mum, and they said, "If we knew about this 3 weeks beforehand, we'd have done surgery there and then." What we were telling you 3 weeks beforehand? What we were telling you? It's not like we're making it up. When 3 weeks ago we were telling them that, and they were saying, "Oh, it's absolutely impossible. It's impossible." So they had to do a special op where they sort of glue it together, and I spent 8 weeks without having feed or anything, not eating or drinking at all, and I'd have feed into the duodenum, not the stomach itself. There's a stomach, and then beneath that is a duodenum, uh, which is the next stage, and they can put a tube all the way down there, where it's like an NG tube. It goes up the nose and there, but it just goes further down, which is probably the worst thing I could possibly have. I hate it. I hate that word from surgery because being awake and having a tube go up and down, and the only thing you can do is just focus on drinking. Ignore it as much as you can and just drink so you can swallow it. So because if it goes wrong, it's a pain in the ass. That's probably like the worst treatment I could have. And then I spent 8 weeks without eating or drinking, which doesn't help when you get halfway through the week and you have an op coming up and you get or a scan or whatever, and you get some registrar who thinks she's clever, right? Turn around and say, "Has he eaten and drinking today?" Right. Do you want me to force feed your lunch? Right? Or do you want me to have your lunch? Because that's what I haven't been doing for 3, 4 weeks. But I had spent 8 weeks without eating or drinking, which was a pain in the ass as well because it was in the duodenum and not the stomach. You permanently felt hungry all the time. You couldn't even allow to chew gum, let alone drink water or anything like that, because it has to glue it together. The stomach has to stay dry, otherwise it won't work. It's like when you use a glue gun and you got hot glue coming out, the air dries it, but because there's no air and it's not exposed to the air outside, you can't water it or in any way. So, because it's like with any sort of glue, you put water all over glue, it will wash away, and that's what it would do with this. So that's why they had to wait 8 weeks the until everything that was in this fistula um, that was coming from the stomach had dried out completely. So yeah, they sorted that out. So when I went in there, I think it was just after the Euros, and we just got knocked out against Iceland. I think it was the week before, week after actually. Yeah, which would be about beginning of July, something like that. Because the actual the actual transplant I had on the 1st of July, which was quite rare, which was quite unique because my great uncle fought in the First World War, and he died on the first day of the song, which was the 1st of July. And it obviously being the 1st of July 2016, 100 years on from that day, which was kind of weird in a sense. So it was, yeah, it was just before the Euros. It was around about 30th of June, so I had this. So I got admitted, and I didn't come out until November. And what happened also after they fixed the stomach and that is that the artery collapsed again over one weekend, and I had to have emergency surgery to try and stop it from destroying the liver completely. Because as soon as the hepatic artery fails and blocks, you're cutting oxygen supply to the liver. It's like holding your breath and not breathing. You starve of oxygen, and that's what that's what happens when the hepatic artery drops and fails, and you don't notice the damage unless you see it on a scan, or you see it in the skin. But if you see it in the skin when it starts turning yellow, because the bile starts then getting into the system and poisons the liver as well, it's too late. It's way too late. It's a silent killer. This is the problem with liver. It's a silent killer, because by the time you realise the problems, it's already too late, and you need massive help. But they managed to sort of quell the complete destruction of the liver, but not stop it completely, where they could put a drain in and help drain away the bile so it can fix itself. The damage was too paramount, and we had spent, after I came out, 4 or 5 months of this drain waiting to see if it'd fix it, and it didn't. And so in the end, the only way they were going to fix it is do another transplant, a sixth one. But this time they were going to take the spleen out so they could concentrate all the blood flow around that area to the liver, because the more blood flow, the idea was, the more blood flow you give the liver, the more patent the veins and arteries stay, and the more patent they are, the longer the more likely is they won't block. As well as that, they were going to stent the veins as well, so they put like a little plastic sort of tube inside the vein to keep it open. So we had that I was admitted in September because I was not well, and they didn't let us out until after the transplant was done and I was fit enough to go home. So I was admitted in about September and had the transplant in November, 4th of November, which was funny because I remember it being the day after Hamilton had won his 4th title in Mexico. So I remember watching the Grand Prix and then getting woken up at 12 in the morning by a doctor who was trying to take blood out of me. She didn't wake us up, she just started taking blood out of us. Right? And I started looking at my arm and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And it was like, oh, well, I'm taking blood. For what? I said, oh, haven't you heard? It was like, liver. No, I've been asleep. Right? And she said, well, there could be a possibility of a liver available for you. I said, well, is that a possibility or is that definite? Because if it is definite, I need to call my mum and dad, right, and get them down here because they're not here. But luckily, it weren't until the next morning that they got it all sorted. And I had that. It took 18 hours to separate the liver and the stomach because they were attached together, put 2 stitches in the stomach and pray it didn't leak, change the liver, put all the stents in the veins, and try and save the spleen first by cutting off some of the blood flow, but then that started bleeding, so in the end they took the spleen out anyway. So we ended up with 18 hours of surgery, and in 12 hours I was up, and you could tell I've been through the mill with this one, because when you see the pain specialist in ITU, the first thing a pain specialist always asks is, how can we get him reduced on his pain meds? How can we bring it down a bit? They took one look at my folder and they went, give him what he needs, whatever he wants, because he has been screwed. And no word of a lie, it was probably the most painful one I've had so far, and I say so far, because I was having about 4 milligrams of oxycodone and 1 milligram of ketamine with a PCA button, which is a lot. Like, no wonder half the crap I was probably saying to my mum and dad was because I was on drugs. um, but eventually they start you wean you down, and yeah, so we had that, and which has led me to the point where I got to uni the next following year, and did a whole year of university. Despite having small glitches that could cause a big glitch along the way. And then, unfortunately, I started my second year. Was supposed to start my second year this year, and I did start it after a very successful first year. And I went to pot. So I didn't start feeling well. Couldn't concentrate. Started feeling like I was inclopathic. And inclopathic means is that when because certain levels like the ammonia or bilirubin in the system don't start going up, and it confuses your mind. You can't focus on one thing, struggle to focus on one thing, let alone think about doing sort of tear counts and stuff like that. And literally everything you learn goes in one ear, goes out the other, and you become very forgetful. Even now, if I did first year, I'd struggle to remember half what I learned. And they told me that the portal vein had blocked completely, and that we're going to have to hope that the what a vein does is then grow little veins called collaterals around the thrombosis to get around the problem. We're all hoping that this would relieve the pressure on the gut, because the pressure that was being caused in the gut was making my albumin, which is like the egg white of an egg, essentially, it was making it leak. out again, like I have with my fourth. So at the moment, I'm having weekly infusions to keep the level up, so the other levels don't drop. Because if you don't have the right albumin levels, you won't absorb anything in terms of nutrients or anything, so all the other levels will start falling. And we tried to wait as long as we can, but a few weeks ago, about a month ago now, they told me that, well, I decided that we can't wait much longer. It's nearly been a year and it hasn't improved. So we've got to go have more surgery. And I said to him, I said, the only reason I'm doing this is because it's different. It's a multivascular transplant, which means replacing all the veins, not the liver itself, because the liver itself essentially is fine. But we're going to replace all the veins around the liver. And it's going to be done at Addenbrooke's because we don't have the license at King's. It's going to be done by a different doctor, which makes me a little bit anxious, but he's well trusted by my prof, the prof that I know. But my biggest fear is that this is going to happen, and in years, we're going to go wrong again. And if it goes on again, I can't continue those. Can't. So that's my current situation in a minute. But as long as I'm here, I want to try it, and this is why I did the YouTube channel, is that I want to try and raise as much awareness as I can, so that people know about childhood liver disease, and the agenda changes on people with liver disease. And as well as that is that so that people help fund the research, so that kids don't have to go through what I went through, or have to suffer as much as I've had to suffer. Because there's still kids there now that are doing the same thing. But with better treatment, then, and with better knowledge that they have now, is that they don't have to suffer the way I've suffered. Like the problem I have now, when they first discovered it, it took 7 years to work it out. And then afterwards, they found it in someone else, and it didn't take them that long, and it didn't take them all that pain and suffering throughout the 7 years to work it out, and all the different treatments. And he got sorted straight away, and that's sort of the difference I want to make. Because it's bad enough suffering from liver disease itself, let alone suffer all the treatment and constant visits to hospital that you have to go through. So, but like I said, I will keep going as I have, and keep fighting on. But like also said, it will get to a point, and I've had to say this to my prof, the prof that I see, who's been there from the start. It kills me to say it, and I've had to say it to my mum. She's terrified. I know she's terrified. She hides it, but she is. Especially because she's never seen me this low before. And she's just having to accept that if this doesn't work, I can't keep doing it. It just gets to a point it gets silly. I can't keep doing a year and then surgery, year and then surgery, year and then surgery. Right? It gets ridiculous. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Hopefully, it's more depressing. Yeah. So that's my story up to now. So yeah, if like I said, share this video, like, comment on it, um, and yeah, I'll leave links to the Children's Liver Disease Foundation page in the description if you want to find out more about liver disease, or if you want to do any fundraisers or donate. I'll leave the links there. Yeah, so thanks for listening. If you're new, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.